Insomniac has finally shown more of the Wolverine game, Marvel's Wolverine, and I'm here today with T, who has not been on this channel in quite a while, actually, because he's a busy father figure now. He thinks, oh, I got a kid, I got a family. Lame.
Father figure, yeah.
He's not the dad who stepped up, nor is he the stepdad. He's just the dad that we didn't deserve who was there.
Or that we didn't want, honestly. But
yeah, I mean, maybe just do the family a favor, grab the milk, and don't come back. You know, I was going to say before this that Wolverine was, to me, at the point like a week ago, everything wrong with the current game development cycle.
Whoa, okay.
Where games take, 5+ years to make. You don't hear anything about them. Everything's top secret, like some kind of Pentagon project. It annoys me.
Yeah.
So to finally see something about this is really cool. I do also understand that there was the extenuating circumstances of a pretty big hack, and then the alpha build was leaked, which is something we'll talk about for a minute today too, or pre-alpha build. So there's a lot of like weird circumstances around this game, but I think to finally see it is really cool. And before we hop further into it, I do have a really quick question of the day for you guys, which is, what do you think of the gameplay we've seen so far? Kind of the cinematic look at it, the voice acting. What are your thoughts going into it? Like, what are you expecting to see, and what do you like or not like? Let me know. Now, in general with this, they pretty much showed a lot of violence, which is good. That's very much par for the course for Wolverine. And they did say that they'd show more in, what is it, the spring of 2026?
They did, spring of 26, yep.
Yeah, so, T, what did you think about this? I mean, we've got a blog post we can read real quick, but I know they showed a lot of locations very briefly, kind of the violent nature of who Logan is and his life, and this is supposedly in the same universe as Spider-Man. I mean, it's in that Insomniac universe.
Yeah, and I liked how, I mean, the graphics with the Spider-Man games are obviously fantastic, and that's what the visuals of these, obviously cinematic, it looks awesome. And the gore was something you hit play on the trailer, and someone's arm's getting chopped off immediately. So I think that they really are setting the tone that we're not pulling the punches on the violence here. And there were a few scenes in there, and obviously, like you said, that's par for the course for Wolverine. His metal claws are going in people's heads. Like, that's just kind of how this works.
But with Fox, like, they had to pull those punches. I mean, I love the early Fox X-Men movies, but it's like they had to kind of self-censor a little bit to avoid some of that for a long time. So it's nice to see a game that doesn't feel like it has to. Kind of like X-Men Origins Wolverine, the game, which went a little more in on that.
Yeah.
This is going even further in on that, but now on the PS5, era.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's really, really cool. They're leaning into that. And I think what the vibe that I got, which you kind of echoed too, it kind of felt, as far as the way that the world is designed, the way that the game is designed, kind of like an Uncharted, kind of Last of Us kind of feel, where it's not an open world, and that's something that you had kind of talked about. It's you're going through these missions kind of step by step, going about it in your own way, but there's definitely kind of a structured mission that they want you to go through on that. And I actually kind of like that. I think that makes a lot of sense for this character.
I think superhero games are kind of missing that, actually, now. I think everything thinks it needs to be this huge open world game. Now, there could be some major turning point where the development cycle changed and this is a little different, but back when the alpha, or the pre-alpha leaked because of that hack, one thing, and I never talked about them a ton because it felt kind of shitty, just the whole situation, but one thing with it was that it was kind of just environments, and the environment would be decently large, and there would be linear sections of the environment, but there would also be sections of the environment where it's kind of a wide open space and you tackle the combat in your own way. So yeah, Uncharted-like, I'm pretty sure that stayed the same. That's also probably why they're able to show off things like the Canadian wilderness, Tokyo, Madripoor, in this trailer, as pointed out by IGN and some other people. Because if you had to make that a wide open world, like, Wolverine's walking around all of New York, you're probably not going to put all these other areas in.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking it's going to be the same in that way of game development as like old Spider-Man games. You look at some games like the PS1 games, or even I think Edge of Time, and they were environments, and they were levels and missions. They weren't just, here's your huge open world. Maybe an open world could eventually work for Wolverine, but like for introducing the character, telling a story like this, I think that's probably going to be the best way to handle it too.
I think so too, because you're like you said, you're establishing the character, and to your point, I don't think this, like, a Wolverine game necessarily needs to be open world.
Not everything needs to be. That's another big problem with games, is they think they have to be bigger than they do, and then you have a bunch of content that's just okay.
And you should really tailor it to the character, and especially if you're trying to be true to the character. And I think that's what they're doing here, which is really cool. Because you think of Spider-Man, Batman, those are guys that traversal makes sense, and like going long distances and kind of soaring above the world makes a lot of sense. Wolverine, you could have him on his motorcycle, I guess, but like we saw, like I don't know, if you look at like when I was driving around in Gotham Knights and Gotham Knights is a tough comparison. I hear ya, but
it's already tough.
But when you're on like the motorcycle in Gotham Knights, I'm not having that much fun going from place to place in that if I'm just doing that. And so you're kind of trying to figure that out. And I think just doing
to your point, the sections that were indoors and more focused in that game were probably the most fun.
Yes. The strongest part of the games, I would argue, for sure. The open world was the toughest part, honestly.
Yeah.
But like you look at the way that this game, like they're leaning into the violence. It's a structured story, and I mean a few of the appearances that we got of some villains too was really cool. I actually am not super familiar with them, so it was really cool to see it dive in. I know, an absolute casual, but yeah, it was cool to see Mystique. That one I recognized right away, and then the Sentinel at the end was really, really cool too. What is it? Omega Red is the other one? I was not familiar with him.
Appeared briefly in the trailer. I actually missed it the first time. But he's the one who kind of can shoot out the metal tentacle type things.
Yes.
I do think we can also read the PlayStation blog post they threw up real quick about this, saying independence is often the way of Wolverine. Although keen-eyed fans may have spotted some of the familiar faces he'll encounter on his journey, like the elusive Mystique or the brutish Omega Red, some will fight alongside Logan against all odds, and others will unleash all-out attacks on our hero, such as the Reavers, one of our enemy factions, who will keep our hero's instincts on edge. Which, by the way, real quick to you, the Reavers were also in Logan.
I was gonna say, I remember that from Logan. Yeah, 100%.
Probably gonna be a totally different group because Fox went their own way like 99% of the time with the source material.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see.
Yes.
Saying, speaking of which, our trailer concludes with a prototype of an iconic yet menacing purple robot, which we know is a Sentinel. Mm-hmm. In this global thriller, Wolverine's search for answers will send him on perilous excursions to exotic locales. Sorry, I thought of exotic dancers when I saw that word. Including the island nation of Madripoor, the frosted wilderness of Canada, and the narrow city streets of Tokyo. All potential battlegrounds for fierce, bloody, destructive action. You know, and I'm hoping that they really have the balls to go all in on Wolverine confronting Justin Trudeau for doing blackface.
That would be really cool. It's about time someone did, you know?
And if you think I'm making that up, it did happen.
I have seen that picture.
Yeah.
I do think one thing that I did see in there that was like, and you see more of like the cinematic aspect of it, but I want to get your thoughts too. And I think it makes a lot of sense, but the combat seemed to be very similar to how Spider-Man was. Obviously Insomniac, that makes a lot of sense, but it seemed to be like you see him go up to a guy in an alley and then kind of rip off a little bit of a combo, and then I'm assuming that some of the cinematic, gory, arms getting chopped off, heads getting, you know, speared, is more of the finishers, if you will, on there.
I do think it's ridiculous, though, that if I rip a combo and finish on a guy in an alley, I'm going to jail.
Which is really disappointing. I agree, yeah.
Yeah, I thought in general, like, we'll have to see exactly how it works, but I think that for better or worse, that Arkham-inspired and, like, you know, Spider-Man 2, the movie game, inspired combat, where it's a little less mashy and a little more rhythmic, that's kind of become the standard for superhero games. And I think we're all fine with it. You know, I think we're all okay with that because it's just a good, tried and true, tested method of combat. Mm-hmm. There might be some other way to do it in the future. I'm sure you could do kind of a Souls-like thing or a, you know, new God of War, the newer ones type thing with some of these characters. But in general, that's what it's looking like to me, is that more Arkham, Insomniac, Spider-Man style combat. I'm just really excited, man. Like, but I'm also like, I'm excited, but I'm not gonna get my hopes up too high. You know, like, I'm just hoping for a very fun Wolverine game. If it can be that, that's probably good enough for me. Because going into Marvel's Spider-Man 2, I thought, wow, this is going to be better than the first one probably in every way. They probably learned their lessons from early Spider-Man movies and games. And then I thought it was good, you know, like, honestly better in terms of gameplay. But I thought the story really kind of fell off in terms of quality compared to the first game. So I'm just hoping nothing like that happens here. I'm hoping that they don't cram in too much. I think that was Spider-Man 2's problem, trying to cram in all these characters, all these different things. I'm not really seeing that in this. If you're keeping it more focused, more environments, less open world, I think you can tell a story like that with this many characters, and you don't have to worry about the problems that Spider-Man 2 had, hopefully.
I think it simplifies it to not have to worry about traversal as much, to not have to worry about a lot of those things that Spider-Man has to worry about as far as making that environment. I mean, New York, what you can say, the issues with the story too in Spider-Man 2, but that environment and that world is phenomenal.
It shined in terms of gameplay and world design. I think
incredible.
It's very well done in that way.
And so I think Insomniac does a really good job, and so I'm excited to see them kind of pivot and do something a little bit different. But I think the voice actor sounded good. I liked how he sounded in there too. I like the suits. I like how he's wearing the plaid with the cowboy hat in one too. You see that?
Yeah, and you know that we'll get movie suits. Insomniac's good with that.
Yes.
Like, we will probably get a couple of suits that we had Hugh Jackman wear at some point, whether it's just the Deadpool and Wolverine or maybe the classic X-Men suit with the black leather. I'm sure we'll see those things. Fingers crossed, and if we don't, modders will let them in. So
100%. You bet on that.
I don't know, T, you got anything else? I'd like to wrap it up just for runtime, but I'm excited. I don't want to put my hopes up sky high like I did with Spider-Man 2, because I feel like at that point I really just ended up being frustrated. I just want a really fun Wolverine game, and I'm saying that as a guy who loved the X-Men Origins Wolverine game. You know, when it comes to Wolverine, I'm not saying that I don't have standards, but he's not Spider-Man, he's not Batman, he hasn't gotten tons of great games. If we can just get a really solid, fun Wolverine game on the modern day, it's already a win for me.
Yeah, and I think that's entirely fair. I think that it's a great trailer. I think it gets the momentum going on this game in the right way for sure. You look at some games in the past, even looking back at like when the Avengers, when they were getting ready to announce that game too, and you see some of the trailer stuff on there, it's like there's questions immediately after stuff. This, it's more so I think just we know who the game's coming from. We see a cinematic trailer with some tidbits of actual gameplay from what we can tell, kind of, and I think it looks awesome. They had some really good appearances. It's a great start, I would say, as far as just getting the game going with marketing and getting excitement up. So
yeah, so let us know what you think in the comments down below. Did you enjoy this? Leave a like, subscribe. Those things help a lot. Hype the video if you want to. Those things are all very helpful. We have our Fortnite code DJAY123. And finally, if you're a superhero fan, we actually have our own store, cosmobunny.shop, where we take comic books, manga, magazines, and more that have been damaged. We actually make resin pieces out of them, one-of-a-kind coasters, keychains, trays, and more. You can use our code DJAY123 for 10% off, and we do have a lot of new stock up listed on there this month, probably at least another 30 pieces that are new, so be sure to check it out. Even if you've already checked it out, you might find something you like. Have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay shway.